Here's a piece of remembrance. Father bought a boat about 1949. A 19-foot V-bottom boat open clear up to the sky and from bow to stern. A small 6-square-foot deck in the bow covered the gas tank. Power was a Model A Ford motor, water cooled in the middle of the boat and covered over by a painted engine box. Eddie Emerson sold that boat when he gave up lobstering. Father named it Ralph J., knowing full well that just as soon as the boat was launched, the entire family would have to go out aboard and be ferried around the harbor and bay. He had in mind the East Boston ferry, a single-deck double-ender called Ralph J. Palumbo. It wasn't long before, on a warm July day, that Mother suggested we have a picnic out on the island, and that meant our first excursion. Father rowed a small dinghy back and forth from shore to boat, getting the guests aboard. Dorothy, 3 children ages 10, 13, and 15. Dorothy's father and mother, as well as his sister Ruth. Folding summer chairs were set up in the stern area, adjustments made and seating arrangements. With everybody on board, dogs not invited, picnic baskets, water jugs, coolers of pop or Zarex, hats, sun oil, dark glasses, and children tied into life vests. Father said it looked like an East Boston drowning party off for a day's fishing. Engine started, mooring lines cast off, and away we went. The harbor waters were quiet. The Ralph J.'s motor putted pleasantly. The propellers stirred up a small wake. A nice day. Aunt Ruth dangled fingers out overboard. Congratulations got offered up to Father for his purchase, smiles all around, and a request made for potato chips. Out in the bay, a brisk onshore wind had stirred up whitecap waves. A nice cool breeze for those sitting closest to the bow. Those in the stern, somewhat protected from the air, enjoyed the warmth of sun, until, that is, the first big wave hit the bow's right side. The splash rose up over the forward passengers and landed full square on Mother, Sister Ruth, and Grandmother. Ruth had served in the Red Cross during World War II, driving a 6x6 Army truck, pulling a coffee and donut trailer. She'd been right behind the battle in the Ardennes forest, where she became well acquainted with cold snow and mud. She acquired colorful language. When that cold, salty water landed on her, she let fly a long string of magnificent verbiage, to which her father, having been a World War I officer in France, barraged right back to quell her. The children screamed, then laughed, to which Grandmother, now dripping water, gray hair mushed on her head, and a pretty blue with white dots summer dress soaked to near translucence, said most firmly yet quietly, "Children." That rebuke silenced all. Father spun the wheel, the Ralph J. headed back to its mooring, and a change of clothes for those who needed it. The picnic got delayed. A spray hood for the Ralph J. got ordered, and later that afternoon cocktails were held out on the terrace. Well, here's about Newt. Newt lived in a smaller than small one-floor house on the sharp corner of the road a mile east of town and 4 miles west of East Town. Small, oh yes, a kitchen, a living room, a steep, narrow, winding stair to the bedroom under the roof. Small windows at the gable ends of that cedar-shingled roof opened up for a draft. The kitchen door, there wasn't any other, opened over a granite door stone into the kitchen. There was a wood cook stove, a cast iron sink with a hand pump for water coming directly from the well, a small steel U-legged kitchen table, and 2 or 3 cushy chairs to go with it. A window right over the table, another in the top half of the door, offered views of whomever was passing by to town or to East Town or coming up the drive. There was an 8-foot passage between the house and the woodshed on the left side to the outhouse out back, a 2-holer just in case. That private place was positioned to allow good looking out onto the road. Entertainment had value in that little shed. Either the Montgomery Ward or Sears catalogs were kept there for wishful reading, sometimes for necessity paper. Eddie built that house long before Newt was in want or need. It was a good house for Eddie. It was close to the granite quarry, where he cut paving stone, and not a far walk over the goat pasture, just across the road from the house, to the big rock on the shore where he moored a small one-cylinder engined powerboat. Had a dinghy on a haul-out line, one end tied to a big old spruce on the back and the other to a cross-tree piece of spruce with a large, well-sanded hole in the end and through which the line traveled. The cross was anchored to the mud bottom by a chunk of waste granite. Eddie had cut the hole with a stone drill and a hammer, put in an eye bolt made uptown by little boy Blue, the blacksmith, made a good mooring rock. Well, Mondays through Saturdays, Eddie walked to the quarry, cut stone, and after work walked to the rigged rock and got his boat and went out to haul his lobster traps, or just fished. Years accumulated upon Eddie. The quarry up and closed operation. His boat got leaking, his needs grew less, so he built a camp, a one-room camp just across the road, right between the goat pasture and the little brook that flowed most of the time from the bacon swamp away up in the woods under the ridge. A little kerosene cook stove, a small wood stove for heat. He sided it with tar paper. He figured that if he lived long enough and had extra money not doing anything, why, he might get around to shingling. Didn't cost much to build, suited his needs, and because it was a camp, he paid no taxes for it. He moved into his camp and left the house standing still, until that is, word got about that Newt was in want and need of a house, didn't have much money. But here he was thinking of marrying a girl from down there on the East Town Road, and knowing that Eddie didn't use the house anymore, he walked the 6 miles from the mountain road up there in North Town down to Eddie's camp to ask about the house. Newt bought the house, got a wife, got a daughter, got a job farming summers and cutting wood winters for a family living next door. Then World War II came along. The wife wrote a note one day saying she was gone and wouldn't be back, left the baby girl, who Newt took up home to his mom and father. Back at the little house on the East Town Road, he shut off the electricity. He locked the kitchen door and left. He joined the army and went away to fight World War II in Germany. This is a cooking thing. It's called tortillas lying around. We have these tortillas lying around, made from corn grown in the ground, south of the border down Mexico way, good for eating any time of day. Tortillas round and thin, wrap up frijoles within. Y otras deliciosas, tal vez, carne washed down with cerveza. Olé! Hey! Sometime give a try, peanut butter with jelly. Why? Why not? Who knows? Maybe it's better than fish with cloves. Here's a piece I've called Neanderthal, Time Travel or Cocktail Party. In the midst of a party crowd, a cocktail party crowd, elders, juniors, straight, LGBT, and others, whatever that encompasses. Epiphanal moment. Neanderthalensis approaching. Took my eye. Captured my attention. Mind went to reeling. Stocky, short, massive, hips to pull, hips to birth. Neanderthalensis. Pulled as by a vacuum to a time. Lauren, are you listening to this? An era. An epoch? What is it when these men and women loved and laughed, birthed that died, shopped by the hunt, the gathering that to feed, nurture, to live, cave shelters, gone, been long gone. DNA, assume it extinct, gone into the strata of time, sediments piled upon piles, water and wind, sheet by sheet deposited down, a robust fossil record of Paleolithic mammals, Few man bones to be found within these lithified beds. Ah, mankind tends to avoid fossil-making situations, yet here she walks to me, Miss Neanderthal. Look at the brows. Nice smile. Oh, the walk. See the jaw thrust. Very nice smile. See the ratio, arm length to body height. How do you do, madam? Pleasure, I'm sure, to greet you at this party. How grows your farm in the hills and your family out here in timeless Nebraska? A long way from here to homeland, long ago land. Isn't this party nice? Your presence and upwelling awe and contentment. What was taught, I learned, was fraught, mistaken. Epics that seem eternal now telescope to here. Well met, she and me, we shake hands, my elder sister and I. The gathering, the cocktails and the hors d'oeuvres, nicely done. Who catered? How's Lavinia? Did you hear she went out to Africa? No. Oh, really? Not really? Oh, as a missionary? Well, that's Lavinia. Nice party. So the bullfinch reminded me of a chaffinch, a little sparrow-like bird found in Scotland and in England, I know. Maybe it's in Ireland too. And they're very friendly. They're very unafraid of people. And if there's any food around, they'll hop right up on a table or right where you are, picking up crumbs, and they'll try to help themselves to a meal. So, having seen this, I was reminded of a walk I'd taken in Scotland. Oh, what a day! Warmish day to be walking a glen. Blue skies, few clouds, and they topped the Trossach ridges away down the glen. Grasses, just grasses, seas of grasses, great rolling waves of land covered by grasses. And down along a burn, dead dry roots and stumps soundlessly orated an elegy to the ancient Caledonian forest, now gone. 20 miles is the way. Start at dawn with jars of water and sandwiches in your pack, a good pair of leather boots and a change of socks, and then you walk till you almost drop. So then it's a bothy, just up from the burn, halfway through the Glen Affric, and there's that bothy. Old that bothy is. A century and a half ago, it made good shelter for the shepherd out here. Roof, 4 walls, packed dirt floor, no window, just the door and a fire hearth. Hadn't heard a sound the day since dawn. Well, heard my boots in the grasses, my huffing and puffing and panting, climbing the upgrades. No raven croaked, wind hushing past. Of course, the light music of the little deep burn bubbling over the rocks and rills. Then time for a break. At the burn bank, I took the pack off, sat down, unlaced, and removed the boots and socks, and stuck my feet into the running stream. Such relief, such pleasure. Turned to open my pack and removed a water bottle and opened a sandwich. Its wrapping crackled. It smelled of chicken cheese, mayonnaise and lettuce and bread. Then said, oh my God, that's good, and I set it beside me on a rock. Grand stuff. I heard a flutter sound near my right knee and looked, and oh my God, a chaffinch. Right there helping himself to my sandwich. Couldn't believe that wee birdie with bluish head and buffy breast and back and black wings with white bars was going to get my piece. With my hand I whooshed it away. Away it flew out of my sight, and as sure as I picked up my Sammy and took a bite, there that thief was on my knee, then on my arm, and then hand marching on to lunch. Its black beady eyes studying me, took a step towards the sandwich, looking at me, and took a bite. Ugh! What's a person to do? Birdie and I lunched together.
Hey. Come on. Bill, your cup needs to go on the other side. That's more like it.
Do you think you can get the sound of my swallowing? Do I have to be careful of that?
Don't worry.